Life has a strange way of teaching lessons, especially to those who forget where they came from. My name is George. I'm 72 years old, a retired carpenter, and a widower for the past 9 years. This story isn't about losing my house. It's about losing my son and then finding myself again. I built that house with my own hands 45 years ago. Every beam, every nail, every corner had a memory. My wife, Margaret, and I raised our only son, Daniel, there. He took his first steps in that living room. I used to carve wooden toys for him in my workshop at the back of the house. Back then he'd call me the strongest man in the world. But time, it changes people. Especially when money starts whispering in their ears after Margaret passed away. Daniel and his wife, Lydia, started visiting less and less. At first it was excuses. Dad works too busy or will come next weekend. Then it became silence. I didn't complain. I thought maybe that's just how life goes. But one day I found out how wrong I was. It was a Thursday morning. I was out watering my plants when a black SUV stopped in front of my gate. A well-dressed man stepped out holding a clipboard. He smiled and said, "Mr. Harris? I'm here from the property agency. Just here to confirm the house is ready for handover." I froze. "Handover? What are you talking about?" I asked. He looked confused. "Your son, Daniel Harris, finalized the sale last week. Papers are signed, funds transferred. I believe you're moving out today." My heart sank. I thought he was joking. But when he showed me the documents, my hands started shaking. It had my name, my signature, but it wasn't mine. Daniel had forged my signature. My own son sold the house I built without telling me. That night I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, remembering all the times I helped him, paying his college fees, helping him buy his first car, even paying the down payment for his house. And now he'd thrown me away like old furniture. The next morning he showed up, not to apologize, but to justify. "Dad, listen," he said, trying to sound calm. "You're getting old. You don't need this big place. I already arranged a nice apartment for you downtown. Everything's taken care of." Without asking me, I said quietly. He sighed, annoyed. "Dad, it's for your own good. You'll thank me later." I looked at him, my own flesh and blood, and realized I didn't recognize him anymore. Something inside me broke that day, but I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just said, "All right, son, you take care now." And I walked away. 3 days later, I packed my things. Not for that apartment he'd arranged. No, I had a different plan. You see, years ago, I bought a small piece of land outside town, by the lake where Margaret and I used to fish every summer. I'd never built anything there. Until now, I took what little money I had left from my pension, and I started again, brick by brick, plank by plank. My hands were slower, my back ached, but my heart felt alive again. A few kind neighbors from the nearby village helped me when they saw me working alone. We built a simple cabin, nothing fancy, just peaceful. A porch overlooking the lake, a little garden, and a chair for two. One for me, and one for her memory. Months passed. I didn't hear from Daniel. Not a call, not a visit. Maybe guilt kept him away, but I didn't hate him. I just prayed one day life would show him what truly matters. Then one evening, a knock came on my new door. When I opened it, there he was, Daniel. His clothes were messy, his face pale. He looked like he hadn't slept for days. "Dad?" "I messed up," he said, his voice trembling. I stayed silent. He told me everything. The company he worked for went bankrupt. He'd invested all the house money trying to save his job, but lost it all. Lydia left him. He was broke. He looked around the cabin and said softly, "You built this yourself?" I nodded. "Yes, with my own hands. Like the first one." Tears welled up in his eyes. "I thought I was helping you." I didn't realize I was destroying the only thing that mattered. For the first time in years, I saw the little boy in him again, scared, lost. Ashamed, I pulled out an old wooden box from under my chair. Inside it were a few $100s, some bread, and my wife's photograph. I handed it to him. "She'd want you to start over, Daniel," I said quietly. "But this time, build something that can't be sold. Your character? He broke down, right there on the porch, crying like a child, and I just sat beside him, staring at the sunset over the lake. Weeks turned into months again. Daniel started visiting every weekend. He helped me with repairs, planted vegetables, even fixed the old fishing boat. He was changing, slower, humbler, but real. And I realized maybe losing the house was what he needed. To find his soul again, one afternoon, he brought a small wooden plaque he'd carved himself. It read, "Dad's home, where love is built, not bought." He hung it right by my door. I didn't say much. I just smiled, the kind of smile that carries years of pain. Forgiveness and peace. Now, every evening, I sit on that porch, watching the same lake where Margaret and I once laughed. The sun still sets the same way. The world still moves fast. But I've learned something most people never do. You can rebuild a house. You can rebuild a life. But you can never rebuild trust unless you start with love. And Daniel, he finally learned that lesson in the quiet cabin by the lake, the place he'll never forget.